friends, it's Laura with Laura B. Flosstube. Welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me today. I have got all kinds of things to share with you today. We're going to jump right in. This is Flosstube 55. It is April 9th of 2024. I am coming to you from the beautiful Columbia, Missouri, and we are going to discuss a lot of stuff. We're going to discuss my cross-stitch goals for April of 2024, my cross-stitch progress since my last Flosstube 2 weeks ago, my cross-stitch new start potential, and some quilting items as well. So for quilting, I'm going to talk to you about the quilting progress I've done, the things I'm keeping up with, the things I'm behind on, and maybe my next time quilting. I'm also going to throw in a couple extra crafts that I plan on doing and something that I got done for this past weekend. And so we are going to have all kinds of fun things to discuss. So first up is the April 2024 Cross-Stitch Goals. And you're also going to see quilting and other crafts on this list when I hold it up. So don't freak out on me. It's just where I'm at these days. So for April, my goals are to get that first house of Pumpkin Lane done. That is a stitch by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. And there are nine houses in the series for that design. And I am still on the first house in April of 2024. But we're going to make some progress this month and we're hoping to get it done. I also want to get 3 more squares completed for the Lori Holt You Are the Boss cross stitch. Let's see what else. A square for the Durene Jones cross stitch and some featherweight progress, which I have some of that to share with you for March actually. So those are my April 2024 cross stitch goals. Now, in addition to that, we're going to talk about a new start that I plan on doing this month. So with my cross stitch progress, let's jump in. I am so excited because on a whim, I suppose, I just decided on March 31st that I was going to get some progress done on my featherweight stitch because I've had this going since my birthday last year, so a little over a year, which really is a long time for me to be stitching on one item. But it's just because, and we've talked about this before, and I am starting to like it more than I was, but this fabric is the Monaco fabric, and I just don't love it. It's 28 count white Monaco fabric, and Monaco is just, it's just stiffer than the Aida or the Lugana cloth that I use typically. So yeah. Anyway, I have gotten all of the machine stitch. Now, obviously the back stitching is not done, and I have my little thread spool on top as well. So for this stitch, all I have left to do is just a little bit of other stitching, like for the pin cushion, and I think there's another spool down here and some scissors. And then I'm not going to do the front faceplate part of this design. I'm only doing the side view, and then all of the back stitching to finish this up. So this is, you know, I made some progress on it, so I'm super happy about that. I'm hoping to have the rest of the cross stitching done for that pin cushion and spool by the end of April, but we'll see how it goes. All right, my next progress is the Pumpkin Lane stitch, and that's Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. Now this is the first house in the series. There's 9 houses, as I mentioned earlier, and I am slowly making progress on this. So here is my progress for the house, and I'm just going to leave it in the hoop because I have been working on this. But as you can tell, I've definitely filled in some stuff, all the stars and the little pumpkins and the flowers and the houses and the windows are all done. And then I started on just the house itself. So all of that is coming along nicely. It's going to take quite a bit of time, but I am making some progress. All right, next up for progress is the Lori Holt You Are the Boss stitch. And that's what this one looks like. This one I am stitching on 28 count Lugana with not the called for colors. Let's see if I can get those without showing too much. So here are the colors that I'm using for the Lori Holt You Are the Boss cross stitch. And the reason I switched those out is mostly because I didn't have some of the colors it was called for. So I just pulled from my stash colors that I had, colors that I liked. I did change a few of them up a little bit so they're a little different tone, but they are still in the same general idea. I've also actively been working on this stitch. So you can see that I am working on those lower 3 boxes. I do have this one done, and this one is probably about half done. And the next one over is just kind of started. And basically what I've been doing is when I am stitching a color, if the next boxes that I'm working on have that color, and if I have some left, I just go ahead and stitch that strand out instead of taking it out of the needle and, rethreading it later. So just stitching it out and going like that. And so I have about 1.5 of my 3 squares for this month's goal done on the Lori Holt You Are the Boss stitch. All right, so I pulled my Durene Jones stitch out just because I wanted to show where I'm at. And I'm hoping that by the end of April, I will have one more of the squares done. And this is the 2023 Christmas Stitch Along. It was a free design that she offered through her Facebook group. And so I just have 2 squares left. And I really do hope, there's a cute little snowman that goes here and then Santa's in the middle. I really do hope that one of those is done by the end of April. But if it's not, I'm going to cut myself some slack because this is the last month of the semester for one of my graduate level classes that I'm taking, and it's been a lot of work. So I am just stitching as I can and doing things as I can and just cutting myself some slack and allowing myself to have some decompression time by sitting and doing nothing rather than trying to get something done. All right, so with that being said, I do have another planned news start. And if you remember, this is the bag that has all of my Prairie Schooler Santas. So the next one I'm going to do is the 1990 Prairie Schooler Santa. And my goal for April is just to get it started. I don't care if there's only 1 stitch stitched in the cloth. I'm going to just get it started. I am using all the called for colors. It's DMC, and I'm using a 14 count dirty linen Aida cloth. And that is what I'm going to do. So yeah, hopefully by the end of April, I will have the 1990 Prairie Schooler Santa started. So that's my new start for April. Now, let's move on to quilting. Progress has been made, and I'm just going to insert some photos here because we were actually out of town this past weekend and I took everything down off of my design wall and I have not had time to put anything back. We had someone house sitting for us, and I know that the cat gets a little crazy with the design wall at times. I did not want to have to come back to pieces all over the floor. So I took everything off the design wall before we left, and I haven't put anything back yet. So we're just going to insert some photos so you can see where I'm at with the different quilts I'm working on. The first one is the Lori Holt Mercantile Sampler quilt along that she's currently doing on her blog, and I've gotten the first 4 rows done. So I am done through last week, Friday. So I'll have, the block that she is doing a tutorial on today and Friday to do this week. So actually it was yesterday. This is Tuesday. Goodness me. So yeah, I have those 2 blocks to get done for this week to consider myself current, and hopefully I will get that done by the end of the week. If not, I will catch up next week or whenever I can. So I am also working on the Moda Blockheads 5 sew along, and I am doing those blocks 1 block at a time just as they are released. This is last week's block, and it was a lot of fun. It was a paper piece block, which I am not a good paper piecer. I haven't done it that often, and I just get very confused with the angles and how to place things on the back of the paper. But this turned out really good, and I'm really excited and happy with how it looks. And I am looking forward to getting this quilt done. I believe we're now halfway through the group 2 set of blocks for Moda Blockheads 5. So I think it wraps up in June. So we have quite a ways to go, but yet we still have a lot of progress already made. I think I have 24 or 25 blocks at this point. So a good sized quilt with those 12-inch squares. All right, now if you're following my channel, then hopefully you know last week, I believe it was Tuesday, so a week ago, I released video 8 in my Ornament Quilt sew along. And so it's a Christmas tree quilt that I've done. And here's kind of the picture of the idea, and here's a picture of what was on the design wall last week. Or a little bit of it at least. So basically this project, if you haven't watched any of those videos, I took an image that I found online. I changed it just a little bit to fit my own need, used a projector to project that up onto my design wall, then trace all the shapes. And we have moved on along, and we are now to the point where all of those shapes have been sewn and flipped and fused onto the background squares, and I'm getting ready to applique. Now, hopefully I will have another video ready for Thursday that I can send out to you so you can see just some of that beginning applique progress. But I'm not counting on it, you guys. I'm just going to be totally honest. I am working feverishly to get caught up from after our trip out of town, and I have lots of things on my to-do list to get done this week. And honestly, this is probably not at the top of the list, unfortunately. So I'm hoping to have a video this Thursday. If not, you will be seeing that next week. And our next video in that series will be about appliquing the shapes onto the background squares. All right, so my plans for quilting for April, I have 2 more quilts for hire that I had a lady drop off the supplies, and I need to get those 2. They're smaller throw quilts, so I'm hoping to get those done because on April 21st, I plan on going to my brother's to quilt, and I have 4 of those. I'm hoping I'll have 4 of those little quilts to take with me to quilt that day to get those done, and then I can get the binding completed and get those to her so she can finish up the rest of the work that she wants to do to them. So in addition to that, I do still have that signature quilt that I mentioned last time with the signature blocks from the ladies in the guild that I want to get that together in a quilt top layout as well. Still trying to decide what kind of layout I'm going to do with that. Could be fairly simple, could be a little more complicated. I'm not really sure, and I haven't made a decision. So that's one of the reasons why it's still kind of waiting in the wings. The other reason is because I just haven't had time. So that is my quilting plans and my other crafty plans. I've got to insert a few pictures of this card that I made. If you have followed me for a while, you may remember that in my previous crafting life, and it still comes into being every once in a while, I was a avid scrapbooker and card maker, and I still do make a lot of cards for friends and family when occasions arise. We had a great occasion this last weekend to celebrate a friend's daughter's wedding, and so I made this card for them. This was actually a design from Cricut Design Studio, and I just downloaded or I imported, or however, I accessed the project and tweaked it a little bit to fit my need, changed the envelope up a little bit because it was just more complicated than it needed to be for an envelope, and changed this to suit the need that I had for the wedding this last weekend. So super fun, super cute card that I put together. Now my other crafty plans in that dynamic is to get a couple Mother's Day cards and a couple Father's Day cards together before those holidays arise. So I have a little bit of time on those, thankfully. I'm hoping to get those done by the end of April, just so I can kind of be, ahead of the game. But if it doesn't happen until early May, that'll be fine as well. All right, so all of that is a kind of an update, a quick update on all the craftiness that I've been doing in my life. I'll give you a quick life update as well. I am continuing that instructional design class with Mizzou, and it will be the second 3-hour class that I've taken for the master's program. It's wrapping up. I have about 3.5 weeks left. There's a lot of work left to do. But our group of 2, we're making a lot of good progress. Our professor has been very supportive and given great feedback. So it's coming together. It's been a lot of work. I'm not even going to try to downplay that. It's been a lot of work, but it's coming together, and it's almost over. So that's wonderful. And as I said, this last weekend, my husband and I traveled to Louisville, Kentucky, to attend a friend's daughter's wedding. The wedding was gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And in fact, they had a photo booth, and I have to insert this photo here. My husband and I took some photos at the photo booth, and I have to say we both looked adorable, if I should just admit that to everyone. I'm probably a little biased in that, but I think that we make a very striking couple. So there's some photos from the photo booth of the wedding. We had a great time. We went to several antique shops. I picked up several pieces of vintage jewelry. My husband picked up several pair of vintage cufflinks, and I had a lot of packages waiting for me when I got home because I may have purchased a few more vintage wallboard purses too. So Super fun time. The last thing I do want to talk about today, and this is back to the quilting a little bit. I mentioned this last time. The next quilt along I would like to do is going to be out of the Perfect 10 book from Fat Quarter Shop. And I've narrowed it down to 3 designs. I kind of like to have your input. Ultimately, it's going to be my decision, so don't be offended if I don't choose the one you like. But the first choice that I have is the Dutch chocolate quilt, and that's what it looks like. We can do that very scrappy, and I think that would be really cool. I like that one because it uses most of the 10-inch square that they're recommending in the book. There's also a lot of set sizes, so I could give you some tips and tricks on just using yardage instead if you don't have a layer cake. This is the next one, and it's the French vanilla quilt. I really like this one because it's more of a modern twist, and I feel like it would come together pretty quickly. It does use an entire 10-inch square, so if you have that layer cake that they're intending for you to use, then you would be able to just use it up all of it. And the same thing with this one, the mint chocolate chip quilt, you use the entire 10-inch square. So those are the 3 choices. Let me know in the comments below which one you would like me to do, and we'll make a decision and go from there after the ornament quilt is together and done. So until next time, I hope you have a safe and happy few weeks. I will see you in 2 weeks. I usually publish my floss tubes on Tuesdays every other week. And I hope you find some time for yourself. Stay safe, stay healthy, and until next time, happy stitching.